Ladies and gentlemen, it's the After Hours Gaming League, and we are at match point. We know it's just one more game guaranteed. But will it be two more games guaranteed? It is all up to Amazon right now. Amazon 1-1 in their group versus Zynga 2-0 in their group. But in the game that we are watching right now, we see that Fredo from Team Zynga is one win away from securing the victory for Team Zynga. He is the Zerg in the bottom left who apparently attended BlizzCon in 2011. In the top right, we have Cha Shui from Amazon doing everything that he can to get some kind of victory for his team. It wouldn't secure the win for Amazon, but it would allow them to go to just another game. Joshua the Terran in the top right. The map is going to be ESV Cloud Kingdom. One of the maps added by Blizzard Entertainment but made by the Starcraft community. Wonderful map, very big, all about that epic macro. But remember, no matter how much a map might be about macro, you can always Baneling bust. Right, Zergs? Right? Ever been frustrated and said, damn it, I'm Baneling busting? And you know what happens? You either feel really good or really bad. Your feelings will be in one of two categories at the end of a Baneling bust game. Cha Shui going for a fairly common early wall-off. The most basic strategies on this map for the Terran would be just the usual no-gas early expand. Hellion pressure is pretty much okay on any map, but won't really shut down too much at the outset of a game. We do see the fast gas going down by Cha Shui. It can never be wrong to go for early double Hellion, but on some maps, it's just more right. One of the more common things we've seen a lot of Terran players go for is a one-gas Banshee and then a fairly fast expand behind that. Do some sort of tech to put pressure on the Zerg player while still getting a fast expansion. Banshees function very nicely coming in from this top angle against this set of minerals. Fredo, from the Zerg point of view, is really looking to secure himself kind of in early third base. It's not very difficult to lock down this third, especially once you start getting that mutiling up. The struggle for Zerg is going to be in the mid game. How do you spread creep when you have to keep going up and down across this very, very wobbly center of the map? So now it looks like Cha Shui is making a claw. He's making a claw about the Zerg's base. Or perhaps I'm overthinking it, and he's just checking the outskirts to make sure he doesn't get ganged up upon by drones. You see Fredo with the very typical timing of the spawning pool. Meanwhile, Cha Shui is getting the, it looks like two Marines, and he may follow it up with himself a reactor. It's a reactor. It's never wrong to go Hellions early on against a Zerg player. Very simple containment, but it looks like a drone might be pwned. No, it looks like he managed to scurry his way away. But in fact, he's not scurrying. He's just flying. He's like a very low-roving butterfly. Fredo, on the off chance a bunker rush is coming up, did pull a pretty substantial amount of drones away. And, oh, wow! That was beautiful. Look at that. Didn't spend any of his larva, and the instant that he saw that all the units were pulling away, he went straight into drone production. He did not fall for any sort of early pressure, and overlaying, very easy to do that. Cha Shui now throwing down the command center, going for the nice double Hellion. Excellent timing coming out of the Amazon Orange Terran, Cha Shui. No second gas geyser, but second pectory. We may very well be seeing the infamous double-double. And I'm not talking about the cheeseburger from In-N-Out, although that does sound really good and probably where I'm going to go after this game. We may see the double factory with double reactor play out of Cha Shui, who has already begun to move his barracks forward. Ooh, this is such a great play, the double-double. Very strong. For any of you who don't know the pectory joke, in Korean, often when they read English words, the F comes out as a P. So it's a very, very commonly spoken phrase if you watch GSL or if you watch the old OGN and NBC Star Leagues. Tu pectori. Fredo now throwing down two spine crawlers at the front of his base. Easily going to be able to deflect that initial volley of Hellions, but Cha Shui What will he do with his second factory? He's going to get a third factory! But unfortunately, you can't get an add-on with a factory to a second factory, though that would be cool. You could use it to just build... You could build add-ons 2 at a time. A tech reactor double factory. Nice. Looks like Chashui is doing the fairly typical containment. Just wants to make sure that nothing is going to pop out. Checks the third, knows the fast third's pretty common. Looks like Fredo is building that third hatchery there. This is a very common technique that Zerg players will do. If they're feeling like they need to defend a little bit earlier, they will simply not gas for very, very long periods of time and get hatches, upgrades, and drones instead. And look at this. Oh, double Evo chamber. Fredo. Oh, Stefano Jr. from Team Zynga here. The Zynga Zerg. I'm loving it. Now, keep in mind, no matter how many Zerglings you make, they will struggle against a player going 3 factory Hellion against you. There it looks like the double tech lab plopped down. So it looks like Chashui could do any number of things. He might just go for a fast tank push. Fairly uncommon, but we saw Straylock do that quite a lot in the early beta days. Actually, a lot of Korean players do the early Blue Flame Hellion mech marine pushing. Chashui doing, it looks like a little bit of a modern variant of that. Looks like we see a Roach Warren also planted down at the front by Fredo. He is indeed going to be going for a little bit of protectoration action while still doing his Stefano Jr. impersonation. But the real question on Team Zynga is, can Fredo become Stefano Sr. for just this game and close it out? Picking off the creep tumor, I think a fairly worthwhile investment, helping to abate that creep spread that's going to become so annoying. Nice supply depot barracks wall in, another factory plopping down for Chashui. And we do see a pair of tanks coming up. We see another command center coming up. 3-base play coming out of the Terran. Will the Zerg follow it up with a 3-base play as well? His 1-1 is about halfway complete. His infestation pit is coming up. And we see all that good old Ling play incoming. But you know what? I love this burrow play. So effective, so underused. The speed upgrade for Overlord. Pronounced pneumatized carapace. I think no one actually knows how that's pronounced because it's not a real word. Day 9 said in jest. The one thing that, a lot of Hellions get surrounded by the Zerglings, but just a little bit of rearrangement, and the Amazoni Terran is able to take down the Lings of the Zynga Zerg, and there is but only cinder and the odor of bad decisions baking in the air. We see that there is that infestation pit getting the pathogen gland upgrade right now. This will allow him to get that extra energy out for those infestors. And yet again, great decision making by Chashui. He needs to roast the drone. He needs to roast the drone. And he does. He roasts the drone. So that does mean now that that is a 2-base Zerg up against a soon-to-be 3-base Terran. Now Chashui has to be careful. He can get an orbital command with this command center, but he would have to be very careful with his positioning, as that can be a little bit rough to defend with a pure mech army. We see the siege tank count getting a little higher. We see the Thor count increasing as well. +1 vehicle weapons coming up on that armory, and I'm very proud of myself that I clicked on it right before I got the upgrade. My clairvoyance is spot on in this game. Zerglings briefly check the south side. Fredo trying to get that third up. Is also, wow, getting Roach speed as well. Looks like he wants to have a little bit of a bolstered mid-game. Can't stay in that mid-game for too long, though. Now, if we actually pop to the middle of the map, we see those Zerglings finally managed to track down those pesky Hellions. But the real question is, does Fredo have any clue that his opponent is not even going for some sort of Marine Marauder play? Ling, Roach, and Fester, fantastic against Marine Marauder Medevac, but does struggle a little bit versus mech, largely because the Blue Flame Hellions can roast everything in sight, and the tanks don't really deal very poorly with the fungal. In other words, tanks are good against fungal. I don't know why I did that roundabout description of the fact that fungal ain't so great versus tanks. A little bit of too much larva buildup. 34 larva coming out from Fredo, and he's still injecting. When will he make those 34 units? The world will never know, Fredo. Fredo, I'm very afraido to say that you have to macro. Where's it going to be coming up? Oh, a hive coming up. A hive coming up. There it is. Double Spire. Just got done seeing this in the Day 9 Daily. There's the drone count coming up. 28 drones! I love it, 29 drones. Rhett has a tear in his eye thinking I would be so proud. Joshua now landing down in the top side, getting ready. Oh, Planetary Fortress it up. This means he can be a little bit more aggressive in the center. Joshua also has the siege tanks defending this center area. Look at how nicely this map is designed, where the range of those tanks nicely cups the far side. Fredo looks like is establishing control of this expansion, continuing to build roaches. And Joshua is going to be in a little bit of trouble if a lot of Broodlords start swinging on in. More factories being made, second armory being made. Joshua doing nice and slow and steady, which is always the motto of Goody. Or actually his motto is more like slower and steadier. Fredo could be a little bit vulnerable. Oh no! Oh no! Those 29 drones that just got made! Oh, blue flame, blue flame, blue flame, roasting everything. Oh god, it's a massacre. The roaches do arrive to try to clean up the Hellions, but it is the fungal growth that finally allows him to clean them up. But not after he successfully lined them up. Oh no! 27 workers killed. I was born on the 27th of June. You have to wait there is one day for each worker killed in June for when I was born. Fortunately, Fredo is in Never Give Up, Never Surrender mode. He has successfully taken the top right, top left, and bottom right expansions. And Joshua just keeps building up and building up. The hive is done. The spire is half done. The fun has begun. And I have 2 thumbs. Looks like Fredo now is getting a good amount of those corruptors out. Needs to get a few more drones on minerals, weirdly enough. Minerals is what he's low on. I mean, this is going to happen when you lose 27 drones, but this is a very uncommon spot to be in the late game of Zerg against Terran. You generally are low on gas, you're struggling to get infestors and broodlords up, but right now Fredo, having conquered so many geysers early on in the game, oh no! The Hellions moving out. He manages to just waltz right into that expansion. Looks like he was going to try to do a little sneak attack, move to top left down to bottom left, and try to pick off some units, but inadvertently walked in there and found an expansion. And now, there's not even a month with 40 days in it for me to make an awkward comparison. Looks like he literally walked out and then walked right back. And the roaches show up saying, I'm here, I'm ready to defend. But the real danger is that Fredo is getting those 1-1-ups. That must feel terrible. You scan, you see the Greater Spire coming up. Does he have a starport? Does he even have a starport? Is there a starport? Where is the port, star for Joshua? He has just begun building the first 2. Oh no, this could be devastating. Right now, Joshua has made largely tanks to deal with that roach force in the unit counting station we see, but 3 Thors and 2 Marines are all that stand between him and death from the skies. Fredo adding on more broodlords. Fredo has managed to secure the bottom right geysers and is defending it with a couple of spine crawlers. Looks like Fredo is trying to rebuild the infrastructure of the top left. 9 broodlords are coming out, and Joshua is coming as well. Looks like the drones. Oh no, the drones. The traitorous drones. Did Joshua see, or was he just in 1A mode? He might not suspect that there's an expansion down here unless he sees that little fringe of creep on the minimap. And now Joshua is starting to step forward and move forward, and again, oh, Blue Flame Hellions managed to roast a couple of drones. The count is now up to 52. Yuck, 53. I perceive that we'll be seeing a lot more orange in this game, but Fredo, I'm afraid to say, has built up a brutal force of broodlords. Fredo, with a little bit of a misclick, loses virtually all of his roaches in the unit station. We see it's 2 lanes, 1 roach, and 4 infestors is the only ground force for Fredo. And we see the expansion is now gone, 17 tanks, and they just run away. That is not fair. That is not a fair fight. Fredo's trying to chase down with 12 broodlords, but this is like trying to run after someone in a dream. You just keep floating up into the air instead of moving forward. Isn't that weird that that happens to you too? That totally happens to me in my dream. It looks like the scan has revealed that there are a lot of broodlords, and Joshua has now thrown down 4. Vikings at a time. He's still upgrading his vehicle plating. He is not worried about anything like the air upgrades. Just wants to do it in mass numbers. The Roach is now stepping forward, but where are the Infestors? Where are the Corruptors? Where are everything that ends in ORS for Fredo? And it looks like this top left expansion is once again going to do its sitting duck impersonation. And now Chashui is starting to take that down as well. Where are the Infestors? There they are. All four of them. Full energy Infestors. Holy Infestors. Now the only way that Chashui will be able to lose to this army is if he doesn't spread his Vikings out properly. But Fredo is really doing brilliant with this expanding. He's against mech. It's immobile. There's no way that Chashui can keep up with that expand count. And oh gosh, Chashui killing off more and more and more drones, but here they come. This expansion will survive to see another day because the tanks are getting rained down from above. And now Fredo has finally started to rebuild a couple of those long-lost Corruptors. And Chashui suddenly is asking himself, how do I get a fourth base up? Fredo just keeps taking bases and bases and bases, just keeps on adding them. Brilliant, brilliant play. Even these SCVs are coming over just to do an investigation, see if there's some sort of expansion open house, get some sort of pricing on it. But indeed, there is no real estate agent that speaks Terran. Uh-oh. All the Vikings doing a lot of damage. Can he get the key fungal growth off on it? He misses. He gets the tanks at the front. And now the Vikings are kind of at the backside. He needs to be really careful. And oh, he gets a key fungal growth. But the Broodlords are still taking massive damage. He needs to start pulling them back. He's losing all the Broodlords. Can he take out the Vikings? He eliminates a huge chunk. All of them fall, but only 3 Broodlords remain. An incredible turn of events from Fredo. But with the Roaches now streaming on in, it looks like Chashui could be in a ton of trouble. Looks like all of those SCVs are starting to come into the fray, and the Thors, can they be repaired up in time? It looks like the answer is yes, because the siege tanks do so much damage from afar. Now 3-2 and upgrades, they do 65 damage to ground. That means that the siege tanks now do almost as much damage as Starcraft 1 siege tanks do with no upgrades. Zing! Looks like the Amazon Terran manages to hold the line. We see Broodlord. We just see Corruptor Infestor coming out for Fredo. Where are his Broodlords? He's starting to slowly add them on one at a time. Again, having a ton of bases, a lot of gas coming in. Neural Parasite would help so much right now, and that's exactly what we see from Fredo. He may very well do an only Infestor army. And we see that the tank count continues to increase. We see more Vikings coming up. Double reactor going down. And Fredo needs to be careful not to overbrood. He needs to be careful not to overburb. Also getting the +2 attack upgrades, very clean. Fredo has so freaking many Infestors, and the ability to build so many more. His gas count is just skyrocketing. Ooh, but it looks like Chashui now moving out the Amazani Tassi. Gonna go take out the Amazani Terran. Now gonna try to take out the Zynga Zerg's top left expansion. Fredo having a little bit of Overlord positioning issues, losing that one Overlord in the Workers Kill tab. We see, though, it is predominantly orange. A couple of red kills have been ticked up for Mr. Fredo, the Zynga Zerg. Now moving forward with a small force of Broodlords. There are 7 Thors out right now. Those Infestors need to be very careful how they position themselves. Chashui now starting to move forward, has killed off 1 Thor. It looks like the siege tank damage is exactly what he needs to be able to take out these Thors. We see that the health, oh no, is going to start to plummet now that those Vikings have plopped into place. And it looks like the unsiege of the tank by Chashui manages to help keep all of those Thors alive. Where is the Neural Parasite? He desperately needs to Neural Parasite all of those Thors and have them turn around and just unleash on the tanks, and then shortly thereafter each other. Oh, a lot of Broodlords coming out from Fredo, but where are the Corruptors? He needs to get that Corruptor count up high, and Chashui having a hard time knowing where to move his army. He's killed off the base on the top left. Does he go to the top right? Does he go to this middle base? There's just so many hatches everywhere from the Zynga Zerg. Looks like Chashui, did he even check this base? It looks like he knows that there's some creep spread here, but hasn't checked that in a long time. Looks like the Corruptor is slowly starting to increase in the Corruptor count. The expansion from Chashui under a lot of fire. Taking some serious damage. Fredo is, said Sean, like Yoda. Taking damage he is. That's my Louis Armstrong Yoda. Anyways, right back to the game. It looks like Fredo does manage to successfully annihilate that bottom left geyser. Chashui streams in with all the Vikings. Were the Infestors? Infesta! Oh, he gets a nice Pungal growth down. Oh, another nice fungal. The Corruptors start to step in to join. Can he eliminate the rest of them? He has to be careful, do a little bit of tank dodging. They're on move, not attack move! They're on move, not attack move! Oh no! It looks like Fredo falsely stepping forward into what he thought was friendly territory, but missiles are not nearly as chocolate-filled as he thought. They're actually napalm-filled, and now Fredo loses half his Broodlord force, but does manage to force Chashui to retreat. 3 more Broodlords are en route. The Infestor count has been virtually eliminated, and now it looks like Chashui sweeping down the backside has eliminated 2 bases, and all Chashui can do to stay alive is set these SCVs to auto-repair and alt-tab and be totally fine. That's so good. Chashui from Team Amazon doing very strong right now. The Broodlings pop out, managed to take a few Hellion kills of their own. But, oh, it looks like the Viking count is too damn high. And it looks like the Zerg Fredo, who is mining from almost 10 geysers, has so much gas. But with all those workers that were killed, 88 freaking workers! Can he get to 100 workers killed this game? The Planetary Fortress is still alive. The Viking count is ridiculous. The Corruptors get cleaned up with 110 kills. Chashui's Planetary Fortress shirks it off like it was nothing in the good game. Oh my god, Chashui. Chashui, what you just doed was good for your team. That does mean that Amazon makes it not the last match of the night, and now it means we must go on to a critical ace match, and we have 2 questions on hand. Will Amazon be able to pull the reverse comeback down 1-2 to win 3-2, also giving them the chance to step forward into the playoff brackets? Or will my graphics card crash because it can't render the missile explosions on these Broodlords? Find out in game number 5, the ace match coming up right after this.